UTSA Roadrunners are playing tonight, Friday night, against FIU. This is supposed to be a blowout. It's a 33.5 point favorite. The line actually went in favor another half point to UTSA. Florida International has not been a very good football team at all this year. Obviously, don't sleep on any Division One football team. But when you look at the line and you look at how UTSA has performed over the last few weeks, this almost seems like one that's in the bag already.
It's funny you say that because Jeff Traylor in his early week press conference was talking about just that, about how that the Roadrunners were 42-point favorites against Texas Southern, and come halftime, it was a 4-point ball game. So again, we've talked about this before. When they're setting lines, they know what they're doing. There's something that, because they're not in business to lose money, they're in money business to make money and to trick you into thinking that you're smarter than them. But after last week's performance, I think there's really not any significant hurdles in the way for UT San Antonio to just run the table in Conference USA. I just don't. There'll be some tougher games certainly than FIU, and FIU has not lived up to some of the preseason hype. I mean, they weren't necessarily saying, "Oh, they're going to win," the conference title, but they were saying, "Well, they could be a sleeper. They have this and they have that," and it just has not come together for them. So it'll be interesting to see how this game plays out. I have some theories we'll talk about in a little bit about how this plays into Frank Harris's Heisman candidacy.
I think this could really be a big game for this UTSA offense. Let's put it in perspective real quick, because that's something that I like to do when you look at games and games played. For example, UTSA just faced Western Kentucky. Now, and that was a great game. We talked about it on the recap show in the beginning of the week. That was a very good football game, 31-28. We thought the over was going to hit. It didn't happen. All right, Western Kentucky's a good football team. UTSA got the best of them. Now here comes Florida International. Western Kentucky beat FIU 73-0, Steve. 73 zip. So with that being said, you have to think that if a team like UTSA can beat and keep up with Western Kentucky, a team that won by 9 touchdowns, no, more than 9 touchdowns, right? 73 points. Then you have to think that this is pretty much in the bag. Now, the line is 33.5 points. Makes you think that that's almost a given. Over under 63. I'm a little gun shy about calling the over on UTSA after last week, but this could easily be a 63-0 ball game and all the points go to UTSA. I know that we are speaking really high of this team, but this team really deserves all the credit. On the offensive side of the ball, we talked about last week in previewing the Western Kentucky UTSA game that the wide receivers have been absolutely outstanding, very close to having 3 of them averaging 100 yards per game. But that wasn't even the main story of the ball game last week. The running game stepped up. So exactly where they were fading a little bit, the running game stepped up. UTSA is firing all cylinders with the exception of maybe some injuries, especially on the offensive line. There's way too many injuries for me to be not concerned about last week. Hopefully it was something just like cramps. It was very minor. Let's hope that that was the case. The defense was pretty impressive. I think they walk all over the Panthers this week.
Oh, absolutely. And unfortunately, one of those offensive line injuries, he's out for the year. So they now have two game one starters that are out from the year on the offensive line. They've been banged up a little bit on the defensive line as well. But I think that the line and the over under are influenced to the point that UTSA is going to get far enough ahead in this game that they can start working in some of their second and third stringers, maybe give Frank Harris a blow unless he's having like a historic kind of game. Make sure that he doesn't get hurt because the offensive line, while they gave him opportunities to throw the ball last week, Frank Harris was on the run most of the time when he was throwing the football, and all credit in the world to his receivers for running the type of routes that they ran. DeCorian Clark, I just may run the best pass routes. I'm not talking about performance or just running the best pass routes and finding ways to get open. He may be the best of it that I've seen so far in this 2022 season. It's does not bode well for Florida International that the Roadrunners running game has with Brady and Smith has really started to become a more and more of a factor in the game. They gave up 295 yards rushing to UConn, and UConn is not the Lombardi Packers or any the Oklahoma wishbone rushing attacks. It is none of that. So that does not bode well. They're giving up 400. They gave up 409 yards last week. They are 125th in scoring defense, and their offense is only putting up 16.6 points per game. So it is not going to be a fun afternoon, you know, down there in Coral Gables, for Florida International. I think UTSA is gonna have their way. They're gonna dictate what they do. Perhaps in the second half, they just run the ball. They take what they're given in the first half, and if they're way ahead, either they rest people or they just run the ball, play it safe. You're working your way to a conference title. There still will be a conference playoff game. Very well may be a rematch with Western Kentucky. So this is a good time to make it a glorified scrimmage. And all you Florida International fans, we're not trying to be insulting to you. That's how good of an offensive side UT San Antonio is. It's nothing against you as a program. Your program has underperformed. I think it's going to take a couple of years for it to get where it is at least taken seriously, in Conference USA again. But yeah, I'm saying, yeah, I'm going to give whatever points you want to give. I'm probably going to take the under only because, as much as I really believe that for Frank Harris, this could be the signature game that could put him in that Heisman finalist conversation, not just Heisman candidate. He has been that good of a quarterback and that good of a game manager. He's not really making stupid mistakes. I mean, there's been a couple of interceptions and a couple of fumbles, but I think it's more defensive plays that have happened as opposed to him making mistakes. So it would be tempting for the offense to really put the pedal to the metal like Western Kentucky did due to Florida International. So I'm going to probably go the under on this, but I'm giving the points, and this is going to be all Roadrunners.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think under sounds good, but definitely I think they cover the spread of 33 and a half. I'm nervous about the under just because what I saw last week, but obviously they're not playing a Western Kentucky
No,
football team. We know that. This is a big game for them in the standings in Conference USA. Right now they are tied with North Texas at 2-0 in the conference. They do have the tiebreaker in non-conference are 4-2 compared to North Texas at 3-3. But a 3-0 start in conference is absolutely huge, puts them at 5-2, one game being bowl eligible. It's exactly where you want to be going up just past halfway through the season. I really like where UTSA sits in this one. I think they win very handsomely in this one, without question. When you look at these standings, them going to 3-0 in the conference, I mean, really, is if North Texas, they have a tough one against La Tech, but if North Texas loses, they have a pretty decent gap already with 5 weeks to go in the season. It's exactly where you want to be. They're in really good shape for the Roadrunners.
yeah, I do have one question that's not necessarily reflective of the game itself, but in essence, it could be a statement game for Jeff Traylor. Should he really be a front runner both at Arizona State and at Colorado? Because he has proven to be a program and culture builder there at UTSA. We do not want him to leave. We want him to be there for the next 50 years if he wants to be there. Okay. I have no intention of alternating my FBS fandom. I'm going to be a UTS Roadrunner for life. Now, again, I don't have as many years as you do, but I mean, that's my intention. That's how much I have fallen in love with their fan base and with the culture. But we talked about after each of the firings, in both in Colorado and at Arizona State, that they need to build a new winning culture and they have to build the program from the bottom up. Jeff Traylor is an ideal candidate for just that.
I agree. I mean, you saw what he did last year winning the conference and what he's doing so far this season. Taking care of Middle Tennessee right after they had the upset against Miami, taking care of Western Kentucky, a rematch from Conference USA. They were tough against Houston. They were tough against Texas. This is a coach that I really could see getting some phone calls. It's just the question is, does he take those calls? Does he actually answer them? I think you should take them regardless. I mean, you should listen to any kind of offers out there. Money talks. I'm sorry to tell you that, but money talks. And if he can go to a good program or a good fit, and I do think something like an Arizona State or a Colorado would be a great fit for him. I don't think it's such of an improvement, especially like a Colorado. UTSA is a top-notch Group of Five team, but having the opportunity to take over a Power Five school, change the culture, he's shown that he can do that. He would be a fantastic fit if they could get him away from the Roadrunners, away from 210. I just don't know if they'd be able to do that. I just don't know if any team is going to be able to do that. Maybe if Jimbo Fisher's job becomes available and he stays in the state of Texas, maybe that would be up. But I don't know about that.